The following is a presentation of the Eagles Sports Network.
Hello and welcome into Week 10 of the Mike Clowney Show as Carson-Newman falls on the road to the Tusculum Pioneers in the regular season by a final score of 48-13. Hello, everyone. I'm the voice of the Eagles, Adam Cavalier, alongside Carson-Newman head football coach Mike Clowney. And Mike, a regular season finale, trying to build with back-to-back wins headed into the offseason, but a little bit of a setback as you conclude the regular season. Struggled offensively early. Tusculum able to build a lead and never could get back into it in the second half. Turnovers a big issue on Saturday. What's your summation of what happened in the regular season finale to the Pioneers?
The big thing is we, come off the win last week, and you felt like, it would propel us a little bit from an energetic standpoint to be able to go out and play well again this week. But that didn't happen the way we really wanted it to. I thought they did a really good job up front. I thought their guys defensively, did a good job of working and winning the line of scrimmage. And they created some problems for us up front. Like, we've got to do a better job of, being able to dig guys out and get them moved. And then, like you said, again, like the turnover part of it is another big part of, things that we've got to get corrected.
I think back to what you're asking guys to do, and let's reflect that this is a team with an offensive line that has been patchwork, and that just so happened to be the first game all year where the same five guys were in the same five positions as the previous game. You hadn't given up a sack in 3 weeks, and tackles for loss had been minimal the past 4 weeks. Tusculum gets 12 tackles for loss and 6 sacks. How much of that was a patchwork offensive line having a moment of backsliding versus Tusculum asserting some will?
I think it's a little bit of both. We've talked all year about playing young guys up front. And, in this game, you have to be ready to play every week. And you have to learn how to, we talked about this before, learn how to deal with success as much as, overcoming failures. And I think, we didn't show up to the game, I didn't think, with the energy that we needed to be able to do what we need to do. And at the same time, I think they had a couple guys up front that were really good. And, we talked earlier in the week that they do a lot of things, getting a lot of guys moving around in different places, which creates some problems for an experienced line more or less than offensive line, inexperienced line.
Carson-Newman falls on the road to the Tusculum Pioneers. Final score 48-13. We'll break down the first half when we get back after these messages. This is the Mike Clowney Show.
Oh wow, this city's ours, we paid it gold, come crashing like a tidal wave. I'm so in awe, I'm so amazed, I'm counting up a million ways. We tear it up, we rule the world, we can be heroes for the day. I'm so in awe, I'm so amazed, I'm so amazed. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow.
All right, back on the Mike Clowney Show as Carson-Newman drops its regular season finale to the Tusculum Pioneers at Pioneer Field. I'm Adam Cavalier, the voice of the Eagles, alongside the Eagles head football coach Mike Clowney. Mike, a first half that offensively the struggles were apparent early. 3 and out on the first 3 possessions, a fumble on the 4th possession, and then it kind of got the offense on track a little bit on the 5th, an 8-play, 65-yard drive. You go with a quarterback draw on 3rd and 1 from the goal line to get into the end zone. For all the early struggles, the recovery, what happened on the 5th possession that enabled your team to move the ball a little bit?
I think we had this little lull going and we needed some energy. We were able to kind of, get the first down really off of a penalty. Yeah. We get, I think it was a roughing the passer penalty. Mm-hmm. And so we're able to get the first down, and then we found like there's a void there that we felt like we could attack. And so we were able to do that on a couple runs. But at the same time, there's extra effort runs there by EJ. And I think Troy had a carry or two in that series to kind of get us down to where LaMarcus could cap it off.
This was a game in special teams where teams have figured out what a weapon the kickoff return unit is, and I think it was the Mars Hill game that Michael Watrang and I joked on air. I'll just onside kick it every time. And that is what Tusculum largely did for the first half. They recovered one. You didn't allow a score after that onside kick recovery, but also had some really wonky things happen in the kicking game. I've been doing this for 15 years. David Needs was in the booth with me, and we know his experience with football dating back to the mid-1980s. I've never seen a re-kick on a kick that was seemingly recovered by the receiving team. That was the onside kick you would go on to lose. Had an illegal kick by Michael Hara on a dropped punt snap. Some issues on special teams Saturday.
Yeah, that's an area that we played well for most of the season. It was disappointing to kind of see, our performance. We looked a little bit erratic, at times on special teams. That's where we talk about the initial onside kick, to where we felt like we had it, and then the official blew the whistle. And instead of him saying, I blew the whistle because it's down, another guy comes in, they call it an inverting whistle. Mm-hmm. So it gives them an opportunity to kick the ball again because of an inverting whistle. But, that's something we have no control over. We know they're going to kick it on side. Like, we've got to go field the kick. And then Hara, he just, Mike's done a really good job for us. Like, he drops the football. We snap it to him, it hits his hand, and he drops it. And, kind of a heads-up play by him, just kicking the ball, but it's an illegal kick. You can't kick the ball off the ground. So not only do we not get a very good kick, then we get 10 yards tacked on top of that. Which the field position thing there, and so there are just a lot of little things in there that kind of there's a little bit lack of focus for them.
Defensively, your team was called into task a bunch in the first half, and you were only down 14 at the halftime break, in spite of giving up an average starting field position of the 43, Tusculum's own 43, to the Pioneers. What did you see from your defense to kind of keep things at bay for a first half that was pretty wonky otherwise?
I think defensively, I thought, all season long, our kids defensively did a really good job of, we always talk about control the things you can control. There's some things going on in that game, the onside kick, the turnovers, they can't control them. What they have to do is go on the field and respond to them. I thought all year our guys, in the face of adversity, went out and regardless of what was going on, gave us the best effort they had, on every single snap. Now, we still made some mistakes, and if we minimize those mistakes, then, I think we were looking at something special there. But, I'm so proud of just, they never got into the, us versus the offense or this, that, and the other. They kind of steady eddied, and whatever situation they were put in, they fought their way through it, I think, the best they could.
Carson-Newman was down at the halftime break to the Tusculum Pioneers, 21-7. And we take a look at the first half highlights.
Dent the scoreboard with 9:30 to play in the first quarter. Simmons gives Gamillion straight ahead. Gamillion steps through a tackle and steps into the end zone. Touchdown, Tusculum. Maurice Gamillion with his fourth trip to the end zone this season. And the Pioneers strike first, 6-0 with 9:26 to play in the first quarter off the 3-yard run to the right side of the line. Pioneers averaging 7.2 yards per play so far. Eagles bring blitzes. Simmons rolls right and throws right to the right sideline. An incompletion. Cam Ellis jumped in front of a route at the goal line along the right sideline on a pass intended for Tusculum's Tyler Burke. Bobbled in and out of his hands, and it drops for an incompletion. 4th and 6, Eagles defense trying to stiffen. Simmons out of the gun, low snap, scoops it up, drops back to pass, steps up in the pocket, shifty move to the right, moves back to the left. Rondro Peebles has him in his grasp, and he sacks him back at the 38-yard line. Rondro Peebles would not be denied. The second and third effort forces the Pioneers off the field with a turnover on down. 2 wide to the wide side right, 1 to the short side left. Simmons out of the gun, takes the snap, hands off to Gamillion, jitterbugging around in the backfield. He gets snatched down by Nick Owens at the line of scrimmage, latched onto his right ankle and yanked him to the surface. No gain. Actually, a loss of 1. Back to the 42-yard line, 2nd and 11. They're down on the possession already. Empty set for Simmons. It's a screen. left side, complete to right in the backfield, but the Eagles read it, sniff it out, and sling down right outside the right hashes. Caleb Goins, the first one there. Tay Little provides support, and the Eagles stop him for a loss of 2 back to the 40. And to a 7-0 lead with 12:20 to play second quarter. Simmons, low snap, scoops it up, throws the long ball, right sideline. That is caught along the right side of the end zone. Touchdown, Pioneers. It's the tight end, Bryce Moore, who runs under it and grabs his second touchdown catch of the season against tight man-to-man coverage from Caleb Goins. Leading 14-0, will now try to take advantage of the sudden change. The ball right hash at their own 46. Simmons from the gun, hands off left side, Gamillion. That is going nowhere. Sniffed out by Jordan Wilson and Daniel Dixon Brooks. He loses 2 yards. Back to the 44-yard line. 2nd and 12. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide for Maurice Gamillion. From the gun, ball between the hashes at the Pioneer 46. Takes the snap, play fake, throws the slant. That's complete in space to J.J. Lewis. He has the first down of the game for the Eagles. And Lewis moves the sticks inside the 30, the boundary left side, down to the 29-yard line left. Pogue and Davis to either side of Brown from the gun. Takes the snap, gives Davis right side. Davis picking his way forward, slips through a tackle at the 20, has first down yardage, and gets yanked down from behind inside the 15, down at the 13-yard line. The Eagles have here for 3rd and goal from the 1. Brown out of the gun. Takes the snap, design draw, Brown straight ahead. Brown gets the push, and Brown surges in. Touchdown, Carson-Newman. Lamarcus Brown, the 1-yard quarterback keeper out of the gun, puts Carson-Newman on the board. Eagles trail 21-6 with 1:56 left in the second quarter.
Those are the first half highlights as the Eagles trailed at the halftime break 21-7 to the Tusculum Pioneers. Mike Clowney, a first half where for the first 15 minutes or so, probably more like the first 20 minutes, things were squarely in Tusculum's favor, but you really pulled it out of the fire late in that second quarter to make things respectable and interesting headed into the halftime break. What was your message to the team in that halftime locker room, just down 2 scores after a very slow start?
I think, the biggest thing is offensively challenging our guys to start. We've got to be better starters. We get the ball first, and we've got to move the football. Don't put our defense in the situation that we're putting them in. And then, praise their defense from a sense of, man, you've had your back against the wall, you fought your tails off. We're still in the football game, and so let's go back out and capitalize. Let's make the most of this moment. Where we are right now.
Unfortunately, it felt like this game, between the turnovers, the field position, was an encapsulation of a lot of the early struggles this team had in the year.
And that was the biggest thing I think you want to try to prevent, because we talked about having that growth, week in and week out. And so then to go back and see some of the things show back up, the turnovers, the missed blocks, big plays defensively. That was one of the things that you want to kind of build off of, eliminating some of those mistakes. But, we still have to find a way to go back and over the spring and work on getting all that stuff cleaned up.
Carson-Newman falls on the road to the Tusculum Pioneers. Final score from Pioneer Field, 48-13. We'll take a look at the second half after we get back after these messages. This is the Mike Clowney Show. Back on the Mike Clowney Show as Carson-Newman drops the regular season finale to the Tusculum Pioneers by a final score of 48-13. I'm the voice of the Eagles, Adam Cavalier, alongside Carson-Newman head football coach Mike Clowney. Mike, a second half where Tusculum gets the football first, and your team can get back into the game pretty quick if they get a stop, and that's exactly what your football team delivers.
Yep, and the guys go back, defensively, we get a stop, we get the football. And so you're right here, if we scored and we've got it back to 7, that's 1 score, and you're looking at having an opportunity to win the football game.
Never could get the game pressure back. Another fumble on the third play of your opening possession of the second half. You look at the ball security from this game, I felt like we had basketball Saturday night, and it felt like it was watching a basketball game with guys getting back tapped from behind and losing the football forward. What can be done to prevent that?
The biggest thing is the way we carry the ball at points in times. Like we get a little bit lackadaisical with the football. We've got to make sure that we go back to 2 hands when we get in traffic, and I think that was a 3rd down play where we actually get the 1st down and then we cough the ball up. We've got to cover that ball with 2 hands, and then we've got to make sure we get our elbow down and get it covered up. It's just fundamental stuff that we work on all the time, but we've got to do a better job coaching it as habits. We do the drills, but when you're doing drills, everybody's conscious of it. And we've got to make sure that we assess that, on every single snap, in every practice, and in every rep we take.
The second half, it goes without saying after the course of this season that teams have lined up to take their shots at Carson-Newman this year in a down year. And that certainly felt like it was the case with Tusculum throwing the ball on 1st downs late in the 4th quarter. Your team had to maintain poise through another team trying to get a little bit something extra on Carson-Newman this year.
And that's where we've got to, if people find out that you're down, then, it's your responsibility to make sure that you take care of yourself, defend yourself, and then you fight and don't give people those opportunities. And so that's what we've got to be better. We've got to put ourselves in situations where people don't have an opportunity to do that.
Carson-Newman falls on the road at Tusculum. Here are your second half highlights.
But great stop.
Simmons, naked bootleg to the left. Simmons trying to beat a man to the pylon. Simmons tight ropes the left sideline, and Simmons is in.
Right here if you want to get back in this one.
3rd and 2 from the 44. The give is to Gamillion. Tay Little shoots into the backfield and loses yardage. Eagles read it spectacularly. Caleb Goins and Tay Little on the blitz. Drop him back at the 45-yard line. A loss of 2. 2nd and 8 for the Eagles on their own 48. Brown takes, runs right, pitches right, Pearson. Pearson has the edge. He has 1st down yardage along the right sideline. Gets inside the Pioneer 40. Gets twisted down out of bounds down at the 34-yard line. Eagles run the option. Pearson finds the edge. Brown pistol look. Sidecar to the left, Davis. Hogue dots the pistol. Brown pulls it, option right side. He's into the 2nd level across the 10 and 5. Brown muscling his way to the end zone. He's there. Touchdown, Carson-Newman. Option keeper for LaMarcus Brown. An 18-yard run for the freshman. And Carson-Newman gets a little bit closer, down 41-13 with 6:29 to play in the 4th.
All right, those are the second half highlights from the Eagles' regular season finale at Tusculum. When we get back on the Mike Clowney Show, it'll be time for our Eagle Spotlight. That's after these messages. All right, back on the Mike Clowney Show. Carson-Newman drops the regular season finale to the Tusculum Pioneers. Time now for our Eagle Spotlight. And this week, Michael Watring shines it on Colt Siner.
For many freshman athletes, the biggest concerns are playing time and grades. Colt Siner was no different. He was in a competition for a starting offensive line spot. However, in February, he became ill and could not find an answer for weeks. After a CT scan, he received a startling diagnosis: Stage 3C testicular cancer.
To be honest, I was in complete shock. I always seen those movies about like cancer and the big old players who get cancer and they just cry and everything. And I didn't cry too much. I cried a little bit, definitely, because I mean, you get told you had cancer, but my parents cried, and that was the first time I ever seen my dad cry, and that was really intense. And my mom cried in front of me, and I never really felt any pain like that. And then my girlfriend and their friends and my roommates and everyone, they all cried, and I was like, wow, I didn't know I had that much like impression on people, I guess. And it was definitely like stunning at the moment. I didn't know I was that sick. I just thought, oh, common cold, you're just something, maybe an appendix ruptured, but no, I didn't think cancer.
While football may have been the furthest thing from Signer's mind, it prepared him for the biggest battle of his life. He was diagnosed on March 1st, and over the next 3 months, he would endure 4 rounds of chemotherapy.
You're going to get hit, and every single like chemo date, it was getting hit, and it was pretty much just having that constant pounding on you out here on the football field, and being able to get injured and sprain an ankle and then come back, get it taped and go play. It's just that feeling of like going and get chemo, getting those massive amounts of fluid bags put inside your body, and that's your game day. And then you go home and you recuperate for the next game day, which is within 24 hours. So definitely football helped me out with the mindset of being able to get through it.
On May 24th, Signer finished his last round of chemo. Despite not being cleared to play this season, he has helped Josh Turner in the equipment room on his path back.
It says he's passionate about football. It says he's passionate about, continuing to try and max out whatever it is that God's, going to let his body do. He, he's been helping us on the equipment side this fall, and he's, done everything that's been asked of him in that capacity. But at the same time, he's put on quite a bit of muscle. He's continued to just work out. He's been in the weight room when he's not in class, not working with us. And so, you still see him training, even though there's nobody necessarily telling him, hey, you have to do X, Y, Z today. He's still working his tail off.
While Signer awaits clearance to get his chance on the field, he is working out and eyeing an opportunity with the track team. His goal for the coming months is to put himself back into the conversation to make an impact on the football field.
Next year I'm going to be a freshman. That's pretty much it. I'm going to be a junior in the classroom, and I'm going to be a freshman on the field. I'm going to spend as much time out here as I humanly can and work myself to death in the summer, come up here as early as I can and try to get cleared, get the neurosurgeon to say yes for me to hit somebody and come out here and earn a spot, earn a traveling spot, earn something on the offensive line, and be as best as I can be and help out the team to become better.
Signer has not played a snap for the Eagles, but he has been a key motivator. Coach Mike Clowney said, quote, "Knowing that he beat cancer and fights back to play the game that he loves, I'm super encouraged by Colt." On May 24th, the offensive lineman rang the bell to signify his last chemo treatment. Less than 6 months later, he is back in the weight room and has a goal of suiting up at Mossy Creek on Saturdays in 2022. For the Mike Clowney Show, I'm Michael Wattrang.
All right, thank you very much, Michael Wattrang, Mike Clowney. Again, this has been a weird year. I think we've talked about it in press conferences at times, but Colt, what a story, and what a thrill to see him in remission, still a part of this football team. Hopefully, you get another offensive lineman back in the spring, as long as everything continues to go well with his rehabilitation.
Yeah, we're super excited about the possibility of getting Colt back, man. Great kid, great family. He's part of a whole group of guys that we have here from down Chattanooga Christian, and just to watch him grow and develop, over the last 2 years, really, it's been really fun. That's where we talk about his story, being diagnosed with cancer, calling at 11:30 at night because he can't come to practice, and then just that whole process, just to be able to watch, a kid go through that and handle it the way he did, to be the encouragement to not just his family, but everyone that he was. Like, man, this is a great guy.
There's some scary moments. You hear stage 4 cancer. That's terrifying. What messages about poise and trust in the Lord have you taken from a guy at, I don't think he's 20 yet, that has managed to stay the course in spite of, that's as tough as it gets.
That's where he talked to FCA, and he looked and talked about his ratio to living, as far as flipping a coin to $1. And, just for a guy to be able to get that concept. And then, I never saw him down. Every time I talk, he was upbeat. You check social media, he was upbeat. But just to talk about him being encouraged by, going to cancer unit, this 18-year-old kid with a bunch of senior citizens reading their Bible, And, you know, he just realized that, you know, for him that it, you know, it didn't have to be the end for him. But for most of those other people in that unit, like they were really looking at the end of their lives and just talked about, you know, how that just kind of like encouraged him spiritually to grow and develop.
Probably something that we should visit momentarily just because of somebody that we lost close to us, and that was Ken Sparks to cancer. His message when he was diagnosed was go get yourself checked. And it probably bears repeating to any 18 to 25-year-old guys who that's the at-risk category. You need to be checking yourself for lumps, so on and so forth, so that you don't show up to football practice and your back's hurting and you think it's your back, and no, it's something a little more serious. So please, routine checks to guard against that. That's probably one of the, at present standing, a feel-good story, a potential to really be a feel-good story as he continues with his career. You look toward the off-season in this season, a lot to work on as you head into spring practice. Where does it begin for this program?
You know, it's the thing that's wild sitting here before, you know, I thought through this earlier. Like, I don't know if we have a guy on our team that's been through an actual spring, you know, to where you come in and you get the full season of lifting, you get the mat drills, you get to go out and practice, you know, really live football. You know, we have a lot of guys, we talk about the turnovers. Well, man, we haven't practiced live football in a long time, and we've got to get back to the point, you know, because of injuries and stuff like that, we've got to get back to the point to where, you know, we can practice live football and get a real feel for what games look like, what games feel like, get a real work on like actually being competitive. You know, we're so concerned at points in times right now with our injury roster of just keeping guys healthy so that we can get guys to the field on Saturday. But, you know, it's at a point to where we've got to go out and we've got to be able to compete against one another. You know, we've got to be able to get physical with one another, and we've got to, you know, we've got to advance ourselves.
This team stayed together through a challenging year. How do you hope that carries through Christmas break and then more like winter practice than spring practice as it typically is for the Carson-Newman football program?
Well, I mean, it's one thing when you're with a group, when you spend the amount of time that they spend together, you either get at one another or you get closer to one another. And I think, you know, what we've been through, you know, these guys have some shared suffering together. You know, I think that they use that to bring them closer together. And, you know, I think now as we get back to the drawing board and we start looking at, you know, what happened this past season and what we want to happen in the future and start putting pen to paper and making sure we have a solid plan, you know, make sure the kids are a part of that. You know, I think that's the thing that will bring us together.
Mike Clowney, pleasure as always. We'll talk to you throughout the off season as we race towards signing day on the first Wednesday in February.
Looking forward to that one.
That's Carson-Newman head football coach Mike Clowney. I'm the voice of the Eagles, Adam Cavalier. This has been the Mike Clowney Show. Thanks for watching.